There's a difference between being smart and being wise. Smart people don't just know a lot, they make better choices. And that's because they understand what not to do. So let's talk about 3 things truly smart people never do. Ego is a powerful force. It fuels ambition, drives confidence, and gives us the strength to stand up for what we believe in. But left unchecked, it becomes the very thing that blinds us. The smartest people in the world understand this. They know that while ego can be useful, it should never be in the driver's seat. When ego leads, learning stops. It convinces us that we already have the answers, that we are the smartest person in the room, and that asking for help is a sign of weakness. But the truly intelligent know that wisdom comes from admitting what they don't know. They ask questions. They seek different perspectives. They understand that intelligence is not measured by how much they talk, but by how well they listen. Insecure people often hide behind their ego. They feel the need to prove themselves, to assert their dominance in every conversation, to be right at all costs. But the most capable individuals don't let their need for validation get in the way of progress. They focus on the outcome, not on their own pride. They are willing to step back, reconsider, and even change their stance when new information emerges. This ability to detach from personal pride allows them to make better decisions, build stronger relationships, and ultimately achieve more. Ego is the enemy of collaboration. When people prioritize their own status over the success of the team, things start to fall apart. Leaders who let their ego take over create environments where people are afraid to speak up, where new ideas are dismissed, and where mistakes are hidden rather than addressed. But those who put their ego aside foster cultures of trust and innovation. They make it safe for people to contribute, to challenge ideas, and to bring their best thinking forward. This is why the most successful teams are led by those who are humble enough to admit they don't have all the answers. Mistakes are inevitable, but ego makes them fatal. The smartest people understand that failure is not a reflection of their worth, it's an opportunity to grow. When ego leads, mistakes are ignored, excused, or blamed on others. But when humility leads, mistakes become lessons. The best minds in history, scientists, inventors, entrepreneurs didn't succeed because they were always right. They succeeded because they were willing to be wrong, to adapt, and to improve. Ego also distorts self-awareness. It creates a version of ourselves that we want the world to see rather than the reality of who we are. Smart people recognize that growth starts with an honest assessment of their strengths and weaknesses. They don't pretend to know everything, and they don't waste energy trying to maintain an illusion of perfection. Instead, they surround themselves with people who challenge them, who give them honest feedback, and who make them better. One of the biggest dangers of letting ego lead is that it limits our potential. When we believe we've already reached the peak of our abilities, we stop pushing ourselves. Growth requires discomfort, and discomfort requires a willingness to admit that we are not yet where we want to be. The smartest individuals are never satisfied with what they already know. They are always looking for ways to improve, to refine their skills, and to expand their understanding of the world. There is a difference between confidence and arrogance. Confidence comes from competence, from knowing that you have put in the work and developed real skills. Arrogance, on the other hand, comes from ego. It's an illusion of superiority without substance. The most intelligent people don't need to boast about their intelligence. Their actions speak for themselves. They don't seek validation. They seek results. They don't surround themselves with people who only tell them what they want to hear. They seek out those who challenge them. Ego can make us feel powerful in the moment, but in the long run, it holds us back. It keeps us from seeing new opportunities, from building real connections, and from growing into the best versions of ourselves. The smartest people recognize this and make a choice every day to lead with humility, to prioritize learning over being right, and to never let their ego dictate their decisions. Listening is one of the most underrated skills in the world. It is often mistaken for a passive act, something that happens in the background while we wait for our turn to speak. But truly smart people understand that listening is active, intentional, and powerful. They know that every person they meet has something to teach them, and they never stop paying attention. The problem is that most people listen to respond, not to understand. They nod their heads, waiting for a pause in the conversation so they can jump in with their own thoughts. But when we do this, we miss the opportunity to absorb new ideas, to challenge our own assumptions, and to truly connect with others. Smart people don't just hear words, they listen for meaning. They are present in conversations, asking questions, clarifying ideas, and reflecting before they speak. Listening requires humility. It means accepting that we don't have all the answers, that our perspective is limited, and that there is always more to learn. The smartest people in the world know this. They recognize that intelligence isn't about having the loudest voice in the room, but about being open to different viewpoints. They don't dismiss ideas simply because they come from someone with less experience or a different background. Instead, they lean in with curiosity, searching for insights they might have overlooked. One of the biggest barriers to listening is our ego. We want to prove ourselves, to sound intelligent, to assert our knowledge. But the irony is that the smartest people don't feel the need to constantly prove how smart they are. They listen because they understand that wisdom doesn't come from speaking, it comes from absorbing, processing, and questioning. They are comfortable saying, "Tell me more, I hadn't thought about it that way." They don't see listening as a sign of weakness, they see it as a strength. Listening also builds trust. When we truly listen to others, we make them feel seen, heard, and valued. In workplaces, leaders who listen create environments where people feel safe to share ideas. Employees are more engaged when they know their opinions matter. In relationships, listening strengthens connections, showing others that their thoughts and feelings are important. The smartest people understand that listening isn't just about gaining knowledge, it's about fostering deeper, more meaningful interactions. The world moves fast and distractions are everywhere. Phones buzz with notifications, conversations get interrupted by emails, and attention spans are shrinking. But the most intelligent people resist the urge to multitask when someone is speaking to them. They put their devices down, make eye contact, and focus entirely on the person in front of them. They understand that real listening requires presence, and presence requires discipline. Listening also allows us to recognize patterns, predict outcomes, and make better decisions. When we pay attention, we start noticing the small details that others overlook. We hear not just what is being said, but what is left unsaid. We pick up on tone, hesitation, and subtext. Smart people use listening as a tool, gathering valuable insights that help them navigate complex situations. In disagreements, listening is even more critical. Most people approach arguments with the goal of winning rather than understanding. But the wisest individuals don't listen to counter, they listen to comprehend. They ask themselves, what can I learn from this perspective? Is there a valid point I hadn't considered? They know that conflict isn't always about right or wrong, but about bridging gaps in understanding. By listening, they create solutions instead of deepening divides. The best ideas often come from unexpected places. Some of the most groundbreaking innovations, transformative business strategies, and creative breakthroughs have come from people who were willing to listen to something outside of their own experience. Smart people don't just listen to experts, they listen to employees, customers, competitors, and even critics. They know that every voice holds a piece of the puzzle, and they are willing to put those pieces together. Listening is a skill that requires constant practice. It's not something that happens automatically, it's a choice. Smart people make that choice every day. They understand that knowledge is not static, that perspectives evolve, and that the more they listen, the more they grow. They don't assume they already know everything because they realize the moment they stop listening is the moment they stop learning. Shortcuts are tempting. They promise speed, efficiency, and success with minimal effort. They make us believe that we can bypass the struggle, avoid the long hours, and still achieve the same results. But the smartest people know better. They understand that anything worth having requires patience, persistence, and a commitment to the process. They don't chase shortcuts because they know that real success is built, not stumbled upon. The world rewards those who put in the work. While some may get lucky, relying on luck is never a strategy. Smart people recognize that shortcuts often lead to shallow results. They may offer temporary wins, but they rarely lead to anything lasting. Cutting corners in learning, relationships, or business may seem efficient at first, but it almost always comes back to haunt those who take the easy way out. There is a reason why experience, skill, and expertise take time to develop, because mastery is never instant. One of the biggest illusions of shortcuts is that they seem to promise the same results without the effort. But the process is where growth happens. Learning comes from repetition, from making mistakes, from refining skills over time. When people try to skip steps, they rob themselves of the lessons that come from the struggle. Smart people embrace the journey because they know that every challenge, every failure, and every hard-earned lesson is what prepares them for long-term success. Shortcuts often disguise themselves as smarter, faster ways to achieve something, but more often than not, they create bigger problems down the line. In business, leaders who chase quick profits over sustainable growth often find themselves dealing with long-term consequences. Companies that cut corners on quality lose customer trust. Employees who rush through tasks to finish faster end up making costly mistakes. In health and fitness, people who chase fad diets instead of building lasting habits often end up worse off than when they started. The smartest people take a different approach. They prioritize long-term thinking over short-term gains. They focus on building something that will last, even if it takes longer. Patience is a rare quality in a world obsessed with speed. People want results now, recognition now, rewards now. But the most successful individuals understand that great things take time. They don't expect overnight success, nor do they feel entitled to instant rewards. They are willing to put in the work, even when no one is watching. They train when no one is applauding. They study when there is no immediate payoff. They practice, refine, and improve, knowing that their moment will come not because they chased a shortcut, but because they earned it. Failure is a necessary part of growth, but shortcuts often make people believe they can avoid failure altogether. The smartest people don't run from failure, they use it as a tool for improvement. They understand that setbacks are not the end of the road, but part of the journey. By embracing the process instead of looking for shortcuts, they build resilience, adaptability, and a deep understanding of their craft. Discipline is what separates those who succeed from those who don't. Shortcuts appeal to those who lack the discipline to stay consistent, to do the hard work even when it feels slow, even when progress isn't immediately visible. Smart people commit to showing up every day, knowing that the results will follow. They trust that the effort they put in today will compound over time, creating results that no shortcut could ever produce. The irony of shortcuts is that they often lead to the longest and hardest path in the end. What seems like a quick way forward usually results in setbacks, corrections, and more effort to fix what was skipped. Smart people avoid that trap because they understand that there are no true shortcuts in life. There is only the work, the discipline, and the process of becoming great at what they do. And they wouldn't have it any other way. People naturally crave validation. It feels good to be told we're right, to have our beliefs reinforced, and to be surrounded by those who agree with us. But the smartest people resist this temptation. They are not driven by the need to be constantly reassured. Instead, they prioritize truth over comfort. They surround themselves with people who challenge them, not just those who tell them what they want to hear. Seeking validation is easy. It requires no discomfort, no confrontation, no need to question deeply held beliefs. It allows people to stay within their comfort zones, reinforcing the idea that they already have everything figured out. But growth does not happen in comfort. The people who achieve the most, who push boundaries, and who develop true wisdom are the ones who actively seek different perspectives. They invite criticism, they welcome debate, and they are willing to question their own assumptions. The danger of surrounding oneself with constant validation is that it creates an echo chamber. In these spaces, only one viewpoint is reinforced, and opposing ideas are dismissed before they are even considered. This may feel reassuring in the moment, but it limits growth, narrows thinking, and ultimately makes people more fragile. Smart people understand that the world is complex, that their own perspective is incomplete, and that the only way to truly understand something is to challenge it. They don't shy away from difficult conversations. They don't avoid people who disagree with them. Instead, they engage, they listen, and they ask questions not to win an argument, but to learn something new. There is a fundamental difference between seeking truth and seeking approval. Seeking truth requires humility. It means being open to the idea that we might be wrong. It means valuing accuracy over ego. The smartest individuals understand that admitting a mistake is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. They would rather be corrected than continue believing something false. They see learning as an ongoing process, not a destination, and they are willing to update their beliefs when presented with new evidence. Surrounding oneself with people who challenge and question rather than blindly agree is not always comfortable, but it is necessary. The most successful leaders, thinkers, and innovators actively seek out those who will push them to think deeper. They invite people with different backgrounds, experiences, and viewpoints into their circle. They understand that disagreement is not a threat, but an opportunity. They are not interested in being the smartest person in the room. They are interested in being in a room where they can grow. This mindset extends beyond intellectual pursuits. In business, leaders who only hire people who agree with them create stagnant organizations. In relationships, people who avoid difficult conversations fail to build genuine connections. In personal growth, those who refuse to question themselves remain stuck, repeating the same patterns over and over again. With smart people recognize that growth requires friction, that progress comes from tension, And that true confidence is built not on seeking constant reassurance, but on being willing to face uncomfortable truths. It takes courage to surround oneself with people who will challenge ideas rather than simply affirm them. It requires the ability to separate personal identity from beliefs, to see correction not as an attack, but as an opportunity. The smartest individuals do not avoid feedback, they seek it out. They understand that criticism, when constructive, is one of the most valuable tools for improvement. They are not defensive when questioned. They do not dismiss dissenting voices. They engage with curiosity, always asking themselves, what if I'm wrong? What can I learn from this? The pursuit of truth is not always easy. It requires a willingness to be uncomfortable, to sit with uncertainty, to acknowledge that we do not and never will know everything. But the alternative is far worse. A life built on validation is a life of stagnation. Smart people choose growth over comfort, accuracy over affirmation, and progress over ego. They understand that the world does not exist to reinforce their beliefs. It exists to be explored, questioned, and understood. And that understanding is only possible when they seek truth, not validation. Instinct is a powerful tool. It is the quiet voice that nudges us in a certain direction, the feeling in our gut that tells us something isn't quite right, the unexplainable pull toward a decision that logic alone cannot justify. The smartest people in the world don't ignore this inner guidance. They understand that while data, logic, and analysis are important, instinct plays a crucial role in making the best decisions. They don't dismiss their intuition as something irrational or unreliable. They recognize it as an accumulation of experience, knowledge, and then subconscious processing that often knows the answer before the conscious mind does. People often hesitate to trust their instincts because they fear making the wrong choice. They want certainty, proof, and guarantees before taking action. But the truth is, most of the biggest decisions in life don't come with absolute certainty. No amount of research can eliminate every risk. Smart people understand this, and rather than becoming paralyzed by overthinking, they learn to trust the signals their instincts are sending. They recognize that their intuition is not random, it is built from years of learning, observing, and experiencing. It connects dots that the conscious mind may not yet see clearly. Ignoring instincts often leads to regret. How many times have people looked back on a situation and thought, I knew something was off, or I had a bad feeling about that? That inner voice is rarely wrong. It senses danger before the mind fully processes it. It detects dishonesty even when words sound convincing. It recognizes opportunities that may not seem logical on paper but feel right at a deeper level. The smartest people don't dismiss these feelings. Instead, they pay attention to them, analyze them, and use them as part of their decision-making process. In business, instinct often separates great leaders from average ones. Data can only tell so much. There are times when leaders have to make decisions based on incomplete information, relying on their intuition to guide them. The most successful entrepreneurs and innovators didn't always have clear evidence that their ideas would work, but they trusted their instincts enough to take the leap. They recognized patterns that others missed, sensed shifts in the market before they became obvious, and took calculated risks that others were too hesitant to take. In relationships, instinct is just as important. People often sense when something is off in a friendship, a partnership, or a conversation. They pick up on subtle cues, body language, tone, hesitation that signal something isn't quite right. The smartest individuals don't ignore these signs. They trust their ability to read people and situations. They don't allow themselves to be talked out of what they know deep down. Instead of rationalizing away their concerns, they lean into their instincts and take action accordingly. Instincts also play a crucial role in creativity and problem solving. Some of the best ideas come not from a purely logical process, but from a spark of intuition. Artists, musicians, writers, and innovators often describe moments where they just knew something was the right choice without being able to fully explain why. This is not luck or coincidence. It is the mind drawing from everything it has absorbed over time and delivering an answer in a way that feels almost effortless. The smartest people don't dismiss these moments, they embrace them, trusting that their subconscious is often ahead of their conscious reasoning. There is a balance between instinct and logic, and the smartest people know how to find it. They don't make reckless decisions based on emotions alone, but they also don't ignore what their instincts are telling them. They gather information, weigh the pros and cons, and then check in with themselves. If something doesn't feel right, they don't force it. If something excites them in a way they can't fully explain, they explore it. They have learned that while facts and logic are critical, the ability to trust oneself is just as important. The world often tries to convince people that only hard evidence and careful calculations lead to the right decisions. But history has shown time and time again that some of the greatest breakthroughs, the most successful ventures, and the most meaningful life choices have been made by people who listen to something deeper than logic alone. Smart people don't ignore their instincts because they know that sometimes the best answers come from within. Small actions seem insignificant in the moment. They are easy to overlook, easy to dismiss, easy to assume they won't make a real difference. But the smartest people never fall into that trap. They understand that every great achievement, every big change, and every remarkable success is built on the foundation of small, consistent actions. They know that what seems trivial today can create massive impact over time. Most people wait for a big moment, a breakthrough, a perfect opportunity. They believe that success happens in giant leaps, in overnight transformations, in sudden dramatic shifts. But the truth is, success is never a single event. It is the result of the small things done repeatedly, the habits formed, the daily choices made, the effort put in when no one is watching. Smart people recognize that each step, no matter how small, brings them closer to their goals. They don't wait for motivation or inspiration. They simply take action, knowing that small progress is still progress. Consistency is one of the greatest predictors of success, yet it is often underestimated. The smartest individuals don't rely on occasional bursts of effort. They understand that true progress comes from showing up every day, even when it feels like nothing is happening. They write a little each day instead of waiting for the perfect idea. They exercise regularly instead of chasing quick fixes. They invest small amounts consistently instead of looking for a big win. They know that small actions compounded over time lead to results far greater than a single moment of intense effort ever could. Momentum is created in small steps. People often think they need to make huge changes all at once, but the reality is that small, consistent improvements are what drive long-term success. Smart people recognize this and use it to their advantage. They don't focus on immediate perfection, they focus on steady progress. They know that small improvements repeated over time create extraordinary results. They trust the process, even when the results aren't instantly visible. In relationships, small actions define trust, respect, and connection. A simple check-in, a kind word, a moment of attention, these are the things that strengthen bonds over time. Smart people don't take these moments.